So I, 21F, like to swing in my backyard to decompress. Sometimes I go out in the middle of the day, and sometimes I go out at like 9 o'clock at night when I get off work. My whole family knows and doesn't care. I just sit on the swings listening to music with my earbuds in, drifting off into La La Land. This time was no different. Now I do have to mention it was a bit chilly outside, and it was at 9:22 when I went outside. I was only wearing Hello Kitty PJs, as it was the only warmest PJs I had at the time. So I'm swinging for a good 20 minutes when I see my mother come out to check on me. Now, I thought it was because the swings were being too loud, as they do creak every time I swing, or she was telling me to come inside because it was late. No, she just goes back inside, so I continue doing my own thing. The nice thing I have to mention is my headphones were on full volume, so I couldn't hear a damn thing. She then comes back out and gestures for me to come over to her. And I did, still assuming my original thought. Well, it turns out a backyard neighbor called the cops on us. They called the cops concerned that a 10-year-old girl is outside swinging with no proper winter attire on, scaring the crap out of my mom because no kid under the age of 14 should be outside. Now she has a 10-year-old nephew, but no daughter. She had to walk up to the cops after checking the backyard to tell them that instead of a 10-year-old girl, it was instead her 21-year-old daughter. Safe to say, she told me to come back outside between laughs. So apparently, me wanting to swing in the middle of the night in Hello Kitty pajamas was calling the cops worthy. Guess next time I have to wear less kiddish attire or put on a coat so we don't have the cops on us again, LOL.
My wife and I recently celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary, and we started reminiscing about some of the strangest and funniest moments from our marriage. Quick warning, a little too much information ahead. When we got married, my wife was already 6 months pregnant. Because of the pregnancy, there were certain things she physically couldn't do on her own. One of them was basic grooming, so I helped her out. Nothing weird or intimate, just practical teamwork. By the time she was around 8 months along, she asked me to help tidy things up again, joking that it had gotten completely out of control down there. Because of her belly, she had to stand while I carefully trimmed using an electric razor. I wasn't shaving everything, just keeping it manageable. During one of these moments, she suddenly sneezed and accidentally leaked a little. We both burst out laughing. I cleaned up, we shrugged it off, and I continued. I had already finished her legs and one side, and was slowly moving across, taking my time. Then out of nowhere, she went completely still and gasped. Before I could even react, her water broke, right onto my face and chest. For a second we just froze. Then we both panicked, started yelling, and realized this was it. I jumped into the shower for a quick rinse, grabbed the hospital bag, and we rushed out the door. A few hours later, our son was born, healthy and perfect. Even the doctor couldn't help but laugh and commented on the interesting timing of the grooming situation. So yes, labor was officially triggered, and my wife was left with a very uneven trim. My wife hates orange and lime-flavored candies. I love them. Well, love the orange, like the lime. So she passes on the orange Starburst to me. She passes the orange and green Skittles to me. She passes the orange and green gummy bears to me. This has been happening for 13 years. What she doesn't know is that the green Haribo gummy bears are actually strawberry. Shortly after we married, for one reason or another, I looked at the back of the Haribo gummy bears package and discovered this, so I haven't said anything for 13 years. Every time we get gummy bears, she gives me the orange and green, strawberry. I've never said a word. I've enjoyed eating my little lies. Until last night. We had some gummy bears, and she opened them and she started to hand me the orange and green ones. But after a few minutes, I saw her looking at the back of the bag. Then I saw her eyes get real big. She turned to me and asked if I've known that the green bears were strawberry. She always thought they were lime. I was honest and nodded my head yes. The look of betrayal was unreal. She asked how long I've known, and I was honest. I told her as long as we've been married. She quit giving me the gummy bears she didn't like. She was even eating the orange ones out of spite. I don't think I'll get any more gummy bear discards after this. Time to buy my own. I work at a liquor store, and since it was December 26th, the day was painfully slow. Near the end of my shift, my coworker and I had absolutely nothing to do. Out of boredom, I jokingly scanned a tiny mini bottle several times, pretending he was a customer buying a ridiculous amount of alcohol. To keep the joke going, I then scanned an entire box of pre-made shooters, around 40 bottles, multiple times. At that point, the total was already somewhere around $2,500. My coworker decided to take it even further. He checked the system for expensive wines that were still listed and found one worth several $1,000s, close to $10,000. He set the quantity to 999, which is the maximum allowed. The total instantly jumped to around $9 million and we completely lost it. Then he found another bottle, this one almost $20,000, and did the same thing. Quantity, 999. The register total now showed roughly $28 million. Here's where things went from stupid to catastrophic. I pretended to take the transaction all the way to the cash payment screen, the one where the system assumes the customer is paying the full amount. The only thing stopping it from going through was a single press of the enter key. My coworker didn't realize I had already gone that far, and pressed enter. Just like that, $28 million in cash was added to the register balance. I immediately yelled at him, asking what the hell he'd done. His face went completely pale as it hit him. We tried to reverse the transaction right away, but the system has a limit. You can only process $1 million in returns at a time. That meant we couldn't undo it all at once. So I spent the next stretch of time processing dozens of separate returns, each for exactly $1 million, until every bottle was returned, and the inventory was fixed from minus 999 back to zero. The problem? That day's report now shows $28 million in sales and $28 million in returns, completely destroying the store's stats, graphs, and reports, which the higher-ups are absolutely going to notice. Tomorrow morning, I'm planning to wait for my store manager before she even clocks in, just so I can explain everything and admit that we were messing around and never meant for this to happen. Pray for my job.